Welcome to the VIP podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad you're here hanging out with me and Sid today. I love Batch Day. It's so much fun. We record a lot of podcasts, a lot of energy, a lot of fun, and I'm so glad you're here with us for this episode specifically because you and I fought over this guest.
I mean, how could we not? The one and only Olivia Schmitt.
Oh my gosh, Olivia Schmitt is amazing. And I'm so happy she's on our team.
Yes.
Like, you've gotten to work with her in the past.
Yes.
I've followed her career here and there, and that sounds creepy, but I just think she's awesome. And I think that our customers are so happy she's here. Yep. But before we even get into that, I got to ask you a quick question that's been burning on everyone's brains.
Lay it on me, man. What's going on?
So if you had a time machine, would you go back in time or would you go to the future? Where would you go with a time machine?
We talked about this in our wonderful Uber ride over to the office.
Yeah.
And I was struggling because I could see both.
Yeah.
Like I would love to go back to see more of myself and sort of, dig into little things because you forget so much about your life, right? But the future, man, it would be interesting to see how life turns out. Now, I think the hard part is if you go into the future, would you be willing to accept what you see? I don't know. You got me. It's a tough question.
It's a good one. I would want to go.
Question.
I would want to go minutes back.
Minutes, okay.
Like a few minutes ago when I screwed up on the intro here, I'd love to go back and rewind that. I could start that over and nobody knew I messed up. I don't want to go years back. I just want to go a few minutes back.
Wait. So do you want to be able to constantly go minutes back, or
if I needed to? If I got a time machine, I could go a few minutes back. Yeah, let's rewind a little bit. Nobody knows what an idiot I am. I think we could do. Hey, why don't we do? Can we bring our guest in? Let's ask her.
We got to ask Olivia.
Let's ask Olivia.
Yep.
Guys, hang out with us and we'll see what she says. Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Olivia Schmitt. Welcome to the program. I'm excited you're here hanging out. Hey, I got a really important question to start off with.
I have an important answer.
Okay. If you had a time machine, would you go back in time or would you go to the future and why?
Oh.
This is very important.
I honestly, it's weird because I do wish I had a crystal ball, but I kind of feel like I'd go back in time. Okay. I'm not even sure,
why?
What you're going to ask me what time period,
no,
and I don't know.
I'm just going to ask you why.
Oh, no, I'm going to ask her what time period.
You could go back to yesterday and be like, I had a bad hair day. I want to go back to yesterday.
But when you answer why, also give the time period.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we learn from our past, right? So what if you could, with hindsight, go back and redo something that you wish had turned out a little bit different?
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of movies based on this theory, and nothing ever actually kind of works out the way you think it's going to.
Right.
If you can go back, it has monstrous effects on the future. But I don't know. I think I'm a sentimental person. Maybe that's why I would go back.
I got
in the past.
I love it.
Okay. All right. Now, I do have a serious question, a real question now. So we'll get into the actual podcast. Now we can actually hit record now. I'm just kidding. But, okay, so talk to me a little bit about Monday Magic and tell me where that came from. I love it. I'm like your number one fan. I watch it every Monday. Where'd this come from? What was the genesis of that? Tell me a little bit about that.
Hold on. I'm a little offended that he thinks that he's your number one fan. I have been on the Olivia Schmitt train.
Okay.
Since before you even knew who she was, bro.
Okay. It was more of a compliment, trying to be nice. You took that seriously. Okay, we're going to fight. All right.
Okay. So, I would like to see this arm wrestling.
Before you answer that, who would win an arm wrestling match between me and Sid?
I knew this, but okay, guys, I don't know.
There is a right answer here, Liv.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have watched Sid do a lot a lot of pull-ups.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, you don't say Sid. She is a professional triathlete or Iron Woman. Oh, yeah. She's a professional athlete, so she could definitely beat me in arm wrestling. We may have to do that one day for.
I was going to say, I feel like we just need to try this out at some point.
All right, can we try to get serious for a minute?
Okay.
No, I'm feeling like you guys could do a fundraiser, like place bets.
Nice.
Yes, I
All
like
right.
that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Monday Magic.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So what's the history of all of that?
Just tell me, where'd it come from? Like, what does it mean to you? All that.
It goes back, like, now it feels like forever. When I started it, I was like, this is probably going to last for a couple of months. But it goes back to the old, insurance conference days. What was it? The Elevate conference? And the second Elevate conference was all about video messaging, right? You have to like communicate with people via video. Nobody wants you to call them. They don't want to text. They don't want an email. It's all about video. And then it was all about like the importance of actually having a real personality and not just, I'm going to talk to you about insurance. And so then what that translated to for me was talking about my journey. And I was on a very strange part of my journey at that point in time. So I'm not even sure why I decided I could do it. But yeah, everything that I learned at that Elevate conference was like kind of inspiring me towards getting on camera, which is not something that I would ever do. And I would tell you right now, if you asked if you could take a picture of me, I would tell you no. So it's very odd that I like get on video and do this every Monday. But it was kind of every other day of the week. It could have been, I might have done it on a Tuesday or Friday or whatever. And suddenly I decided like Monday mornings, and it was in my car, right? I was just sitting in my car before I went in the office. And it was kind of my big, like, hey, this is how I'm going to start my week. This is how I'm going to focus. This is what I'm going to do. And so that's what started my Mondays. And now here we are. It's like almost 5 years later, and it's still going. So sometimes my daughter comes with me and helps, but yeah, just there's inspiration everywhere, and I never know where it's going to come from. And then when I grab it, I just go, and that's what I record on.
So do you stress out about your background, making sure the bed's made or the room's clean behind you, or you just kind of just go?
Well, the room is not clean behind me. I don't know if you guys can tell. Like my nightstand is like full of like books and dust and fortune cookie wrappers and all of this kind of craziness. The pictures are always crooked.
Fortune cookies.
Nice.
Yeah.
One every night.
The picture. Yeah, one every night. Yep.
Really?
The pictures are always crooked, but the bed is always made, and I always make my bed. Like I can't even stand the idea of not making my bed. So that's just like that's a real thing that the bed's made, and I like it to be just so.
All right. Yeah. Can I take us on a left-hand turn?
Well, I got one more on this.
Oh.
One more, and then you can take it.
We are going to fight.
We are. So recently, again, showing my fandom since I'm our number one fan, I want to quote from you, and I want to hear something about this a little bit. Sometimes we need to slow down. Our success is not measured by what everyone else is achieving. Our journey is our own, and what is meant to be for us always arrives on time. Can you talk to me a little bit about where that came from and what you meant by that, or if that's something that you coined, or is that something that it's a quote from somebody famous, or what that means to you?
That came from a conversation that I had with Sid.
Oh, wow. She is your number one fan. Golly, I'm leaving.
Yes.
All right. So anyhow, tell me about this.
Yeah. The person referenced in that was Sid. We had a conversation about how there's this weird pressure that like we need to be in this constant carpe diem mode. And that's like, you're just like constantly on fire doing everything all at once because God forbid you didn't get it all done before you die. Like there's this weird pressure that's out there, and there tends to be a lot of judgment that comes from people that are in super accelerated mode to people that are deciding to take a different path or a different mode of, moving through life. And so if you're always at hyperspeed, I don't actually think you grow. I think you can just move and you can accomplish a lot of things, but emotionally you don't grow. I don't even know, like spiritually, you definitely don't grow. That stuff requires concentration and for you to slow down and deal with stuff. And it's so easy to bypass it and just move straight ahead. And I respect people that can just grind it out day after day after day after day. But for me, the grind is all of the other work that I need to do as a mom, as a person trying to, figure out who I am in my 40s as a single person in this world. And so there's a lot so everybody who watches Monday Magic is unfortunately a part of like the unpacking of everything that I have to do in life.
What I just heard is Olivia just canceled hustle culture.
Straight
up canceled hustle culture.
Wow.
There.
I'm down. I'm
Yeah.
completely
Yeah,
down.
I just can't.
my
For
chat.
me, like there's a time for hustle, right?
Yeah,
You
for
have
sure.
to do it. There's times where you're like digging 7 layers deep to get a project done on time. I totally support that. And I love the fact that people can just gut it out. And I've had to do it. We've all had to do it. But at the same time, like my kids don't want me like acting like that as a mom. Some day I'm going to have a partner and they're not going to want me like doing that all the time. If I don't think I can find somebody that's like quite like me. So thank goodness. But like I'm impossible to go on vacation with. I'll tell you right now, like I am
Do you have
not the
every
person you
moment
want to.
planned out?
I love it. Yes, I do.
Oh.
I need to know what time I'm supposed to be at dinner so that I know
But
what
it's
time I need to be
vacation,
back
bro.
from the beach in order to get ready for dinner. Like I can't have things like I can't have loose ends. So like this next vacation with my kids will be very interesting because I only have general itineraries.
Okay, so wait.
It's not my style.
Go.
Yeah, okay. We're going to take a left pivot because you just teed this up with your type A personality. You run at Vertafore a team that essentially goes in and helps agencies implement technology. Is that a good way of describing it?
Yeah, so really I think that's we're past the implementation phase and we're trying to help increase utilization, right? So
Okay.
implementation maybe has kind of reached a halt.
So now you're
Adoption isn't where
maximizing
it
it.
should be. Right. Yeah. So we're just like, hey, let's lift up the hood here and see what's going on and figure out what levers we need to pull in order to make sure that you're using your products better. Because like there's nothing more sad to me as I look at the whole landscape of people investing in technology and then throwing it on a shelf and being like, I don't know, we'll use a couple parts of it, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So,
or we won't use it at all.
Well, what shocked me in this area was I read the Catalyst study from, I think it was the 2023 version. And it said that 65% of agents don't feel they're maximizing their technology, don't feel like they're getting the full value. Sure, you can never get 100% out, but
right.
like even 80, 90%, people didn't feel like they were getting that. Why is that? What I mean, you're in the trenches with your team. You're hearing these agencies' frustrations. What are the big challenges? Is it the complication of the technology? Is it people just not investing? Is it the company? What is going on here? Unpack this for us.
I feel like it's all of the above, right? And every agency is going to be on a different journey with their technology. I think like the first struggle is like that whole cookie cutter mentality that we have out there. This agency is doing that. Okay, well, we're about the same size, right? So we should be doing the same thing, but maybe your niches are different. Maybe you're in a different region. Like we can't copycat exactly how everybody else is using technology. So everybody needs to figure out, how do you want your business to grow? What are your goals? And then you kind of go from there, right? You got to work backwards from there. But if you don't know where you're going as an agency, it's hard to figure out what the building blocks are to get you there. I think technology is complicated. As much as we'd love for it to be simplified and plug and play, and everybody wants everything to just like magically just come together and work in a certain way, you also have to put a lot of work into making sure that it's built in order to fire off automation, in order to make sure your campaigns are going out to your customers and prospects. You need to be focused on also looking at everything at the end of the month, right? You got to look back and be like, okay, did we see an increase in activity and utilization? So there is a lot of commitment that comes with technology. And sometimes like the focus, as it should be, is on servicing their customers, making sure they're maintaining their book of business, bringing in new business. And technology is just a component that should help drive that, when their real focus is like, hey, how do we support our business? For us as Vertafore, I think our challenge is and always will be, how do we make sure our technology is supporting the efforts of our customers? So when we start to have really meaningful conversations where we weave those two things together, then light bulbs go on, we see action, we're able to help them create success plans that move them forward. But if it's just kind of like, oh, we're going to figure it out by clicking a whole bunch and eventually something's going to work, you only got so much appetite for that. And then you hit a frustration point and you're just done, right? And you're like, we're just going to use it the best we know how. So
let me rewind back to the first challenge and dig into that a little more. You said agencies need to know where they're going with technology.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say, well, I just want to be better. I just want to be more efficient. I just want to be more productive. Does
everybody
that work?
loves those buzzwords. No, for me, it's like, what does that mean to you?
Better at what?
Like, yeah, like what do you want to be better at? Does that mean that you want your CSRs
I want
to
make more money?
Hey, that's great. What does that mean does that mean you want to grow organically? Does that mean you want to acquire agencies? Where do you see your organization in 5 years? Paint your perfect agency picture 5 years from now. Tell me what your actual like fiscal goals are. Like there are lots of things, lots of layers and different components that you can dig into that help paint the picture of how an agency ticks. Once you start to figure that out, you figure out like where they are in terms of adapting to technology. How many people do they have on that journey that are moving with them? And how many of them are maybe kind of like holding them back a little bit in terms of how they grow. But you have to understand the goals of an organization. Again, like, and if we meet with an agency, it's like, I don't know. Well, you might need a business consultant to help you figure out where you want your company to go. And then we can figure out how technology supports that. But short of knowing what an agency wants to do, we can just throw them a whole bunch of stuff and just hope it gives them something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we're probably not going to get very far in that conversation.
Okay, so I hear, okay, the idea of we're not an enterprise agency. We can't afford this. We can't do that. And then I hear the enterprise agencies, well, we're not the small boat that can pivot and turn quickly and do the things. What do you say to either side of that coin or both?
Well, technology does move fast. Okay. So like that is like one of those things that, we hear about all of these new developments inside the technology space and not just in insurance technology, anything. And there's a certain pressure that I think large agencies especially feel to move at the speed of technology. But the thing is like you really need to think about how do we strategically bring this into our organization so that we have meaningful change along the way.
Right.
And for the small agencies that can't afford to just have every single new shiny object that's out there in the industry, that's okay, right? Let's talk about like what's going to make the most difference in your business as you think about how you want to grow. You're a 6-person agency? Fine. What does it look like if you're at 10 people? What should your book of business size be? How many locations do you see? Is there a certain niche that you should be growing into in order to support that? So I feel like there's so many different things outside of technology that help an agency figure out how they're going to grow. And then the technology starts to take care of itself a little bit in terms of like, what can we do? What can we implement? What can we afford? But nobody needs to turn on a dime. Like, I don't know where that comes from. We're not going to be left behind. Like, the insurance industry is here to stay, So figuring out how you do it strategically is important no matter what size of organization you are.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like just to put a bow on and bring back around that whole idea of canceling hustle culture, it's almost like I'm hearing you say, time takes time. Don't rush into the technology piece. It's not going to, be that shiny object, silver bullet that creates a bunch of growth or what in the first 3 days of you having it. Like, you've got to give it the intentionality and the time and the space for your team to adopt it, for you to figure out how to really leverage it for your goals. Like, it will. But if you put the time in, you're going to see those long-term effects.
Right, exactly. There's no shortcut to success.
Yeah.
There's not a single, like, a successful agency owner that will be like, oh yeah, like we cut all these corners and look at how far we've come. That's not. They're going to tell you about the hard work that they did day in and day out in order to build that agency to the point that it's at today. How did we make sure we had the financial support to be a heavy acquirer? That took a lot of work. They didn't just wake up one day and they're like, you know what, I'm going to call a PE firm and start just raking in money. Yep. No, it took a lot of work to get to that point. So it's easy to look at success and idolize it and be like, oh yeah, I want that. But you have to remember there was a ton of work that went in before they got to that point.
All right, last question.
I want to ask the last question.
No, okay,
Oh.
Orange Mike, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Bring us home, baby.
So,
OMC.
speaking of the idea that there's a lot of work that goes into it, this is a challenging question for you, but what is your best one-liner for those agencies that want to utilize their technology but don't know how? What is the best one-liner to get them to understand that they've got to batten down the hatches, pull up their bootstraps, and actually put some work in?
You're asking the queen of wordsmith of
So bad at sayings. You got to be in it to win it.
All right, you go. You got this.
In it to win it. You can do this.
Does in it to win it not work?
In it to win it could work.
What is my? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, right? You're either all in or you're gonna. I don't know. So here's the one-liner this isn't even a good one. Dang it! I don't know. I don't have a good one-liner. That is a really hard question.
Did I stump the queen of words?
You stumped me.
I think you might
I'm like, oh man. Like, I feel like agencies are, either they want to grow or they want to sell.
There you go.
Yeah.
Which one are you, right? And if you want to grow, then let's talk about how we're going to get you there. If you want to sell, great. Let's talk about how we, make sure that you're going to be able to get the most bang for your buck. And part of that is making sure you have clean data, you have good systems in place. Your people are well prepared and adaptable in case they were, you were to sell the agency tomorrow and they were to go work for another company. So I feel like I wish there was a good one-liner, but I don't have one. And I don't remember sayings. I remember half of the saying.
I think cancel hustle culture is the one-liner.
There you go.
Either that
I
or
feel
what
like
you
I bombed out the end of this interview.
Not at all. Either that or what you just said had a lot of semicolons, so it was technically one line, Chad. There was only one period.
Yeah, one big run-on sentence.
That's right.
That's what it was.
That's right. Liv, you're awesome.
People before profits.
You're amazing, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and also for all the work that you're doing with agencies to help them modernize and transform and get the most out of their technology. You rock. And
thanks for proving that you're closer friends with Sid than me. And I love that. That's okay.
I will not live this down for the rest of the day, by the way.
It's going to bother me, but that's okay. I'll get over it.
You can call her Sydney for the rest of the day.
Oh, no, don't do your
revenge. See how well I know her?
Liv, we really do appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Man, what a great episode.
Dude, that was fire.
Yeah, you always like those. I always like the ones that give me heartburn, the spicy episodes.
The spicy ones?
Because we got some great guests that we had to share their opinions. We had to get that out there.
Well, and listen, that's not the last great guest we're going to have. We got so many more lined up this season.
You got to come back every single time.
Go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, or make sure that you follow us on your favorite podcast channel.
So come back next week, hang out with us. We got another amazing guest. See you on the next one.